In a small town, there was an animal shelter that was always full of noise and activity. Dogs barked loudly, jumped over fences, and ran around with excitement. Volunteers moved quickly from one cage to another, feeding the animals, cleaning their spaces, and trying to give each dog some love. The shelter was a busy place, and most dogs seemed happy to see people. But in one quiet corner of the shelter, there was a dog named Toby. Toby was small, with soft brown fur and gentle round eyes. His ears were floppy and his tail was thin, but it hardly moved. He did not bark like the other dogs, nor did he jump or play. Every day, Toby sat in his corner looking sad. His eyes seemed to tell a story of loneliness and waiting. The volunteers tried to cheer him up. They brought him toys, soft blankets, and treats. They spoke to him gently and called his name. Sometimes he would sniff the treats, but he never showed the excitement that other dogs did. Many people came to the shelter hoping to adopt a pet. Children laughed as they played with lively dogs, and families looked for playful companions. But when they saw Toby sitting quietly, they walked past him without a second glance. "He is too quiet," some said. "I want a dog that can play." Toby remained in his corner unnoticed day after day. Even the other dogs seemed to forget him. While they ran and barked, Toby stayed calm and silent, as if the world was moving too fast for him. Toby's routine was simple. He woke up when the volunteers came with food. He ate slowly and then returned to his corner. Sometimes he looked out of the small window in his cage and watched the trees sway in the wind. He liked to see birds fly by and squirrels jump from branch to branch. He would follow their movements with his eyes, his tail barely moving, as if he were dreaming about a life he had not yet experienced. The shelter staff worried about Toby. They had cared for many dogs, but Toby was different. He did not respond to loud voices, playful gestures, or even music. They often wondered why he was so quiet. "Maybe he had a hard time before coming here," one volunteer said. "Or maybe he just needs someone patient who can understand him." Everyone agreed that Toby was a gentle soul, but it seemed he had lost hope of ever being loved. Toby's favorite moment of the day was when the sun shone through the window and warmed his little corner. He would close his eyes and feel the sunlight on his fur. Sometimes he imagined what it would be like to walk in the garden, feel the grass under his paws, and run freely without a cage around him. But as soon as the light faded, he returned to his quiet, lonely position. Even though he looked sad, Toby had a kind heart. If another dog came too close to his corner, he would not growl or snap. Instead, he would gently move aside and let the other dog pass. He never complained, and he never tried to fight for attention. He seemed to accept that life was slow and quiet for him, and he waited patiently for something he could not name. One afternoon, a new volunteer named Lisa noticed Toby more closely. She knelt beside his cage and looked into his soft brown eyes. "Hello, little one," she whispered. Toby lifted his head slightly, and for a brief moment his tail gave a small, hopeful wag. Lisa smiled. "Maybe one day someone will see how special you are." Toby returned to his corner, but something inside him felt a little lighter. That day, Toby lay quietly in the sunshine, dreaming of a friend who would finally notice him. For the first time in a long while, he wondered if maybe, just maybe, someone would see past his quiet nature and choose him. The shelter continued to be noisy and busy, but in one quiet corner a small brown dog named Toby began to hope. One bright morning, a girl named Mia walked into the small-town animal shelter. Mia was 12 years old, with sparkling eyes and a warm smile. She loved animals more than anything in the world, and had always dreamed of adopting a dog of her own. Today, she had finally saved enough allowance and collected some money from doing small chores to bring home a pet. Her heart raced with excitement as she stepped through the shelter doors. The shelter was noisy as usual. Dogs barked and wagged their tails, jumping up whenever someone came near. Volunteers moved quickly, giving attention to every animal. But Mia was not looking for just any dog. She wanted a dog that needed her love, a dog that maybe no one else had noticed. As she walked down the rows of cages, she smiled at the playful dogs and petted a few, but none of them felt quite right. Then Mia's eyes fell on a quiet corner at the far end of the shelter. There, sitting alone, was a small brown dog with soft fur and gentle eyes. He did not jump, bark, or wag his tail. He sat quietly, his head slightly lowered, watching the world outside his cage. Mia felt a strange pull in her heart. She knelt down and looked closely at him. "Hello, little one," she said softly. The dog lifted his head slowly and looked at her with big, sad eyes. He did not bark or move closer, but something in his gaze spoke to Mia. It was as if he was saying, "I have waited a long time for someone like you." Mia smiled and reached her hand through the cage bars. The dog sniffed her fingers gently and then stepped back unsure. Mia spent a few minutes sitting beside the cage, talking to him quietly. "My name is Mia," she said. "I think you might be special even if no one else sees it. I would love to get to know you." The dog blinked slowly and let out a tiny whimper, almost like a whisper. Mia's heart melted. She had seen many dogs before, but this one felt different. She knew he needed love and patience more than anything. The volunteers watched Mia with interest. "He's Toby," one of them said. "He has been here for a long time. He doesn't usually trust new people easily." Mia nodded. She wasn't discouraged. "That's okay," she said. "I think I can help him feel safe." Over the next few days, Mia returned to the shelter every afternoon. She brought soft treats, a small blanket, and even a squeaky toy. She did not try to force Toby to play or move too fast. Instead, she sat quietly, letting him approach her in his own time. Slowly, Toby began to respond. He would sniff her hand, take a treat gently from her fingers, and even nuzzle her hand softly. Each small action filled Mia with joy. She knew that Toby was slowly learning to trust her. One afternoon, Toby did something new. When Mia spoke to him in her gentle voice, he wagged his tail slightly for the first time. It was a small movement, but to Mia it felt like a big celebration. She clapped her hands softly and whispered, "You're amazing. Toby, I knew you were special." Toby looked at her and tilted his head, almost like he was smiling. The volunteers were amazed at the bond forming between Mia and Toby. "He has never responded to anyone like this before," one said. "He really likes her." Mia smiled, feeling proud and happy. She spent hours with Toby, reading stories aloud and telling him about her day. Toby would sit quietly beside her, listening with his big, curious eyes. By the end of the week, Mia knew in her heart that Toby was the dog she wanted to adopt. She had seen his quiet strength, his gentle nature, and the way he was slowly opening his heart. She decided she would give him a home, a place where he could feel safe and loved forever. As Mia left the shelter that evening, she whispered to Toby, "Tomorrow, I will bring you home." Toby lay in his corner looking at her with hopeful eyes. For the first time in a long while, Toby felt a spark of happiness. He did not know what tomorrow would bring, but he had a feeling it would be the start of something wonderful. The next morning, Mia woke up early with a bright smile. Today was the day she would spend more time with Toby at the shelter. She packed a small bag with treats, a soft blanket, and a few of her favorite toys. Her heart was full of excitement and hope. She could hardly wait to see Toby's face and spend the whole morning with him. When Mia arrived at the shelter, the volunteers greeted her warmly. "Good morning, Mia. Toby is waiting for you," one said. Mia walked quickly to Toby's corner. At first, Toby did not move. He sat quietly, his soft brown eyes watching her carefully. But as Mia knelt down and spoke in her gentle voice, Toby lifted his head slightly. "Good morning, Toby," she said softly. "I brought some treats for you." She reached out her hand with a small biscuit. Toby sniffed it slowly, his nose twitching. He took the treat gently without hesitation. Mia's heart leapt with joy. "That's it, Toby. You are doing so well." She patted his head lightly and Toby leaned into her touch. It was a small gesture, but to Mia it felt like a big step. Mia spread her blanket on the floor near Toby's cage and sat down. She did not try to force him to come closer, but she kept talking to him softly. "I know it can be scary sometimes," she said, "but I am here. I will not hurt you. You can trust me." Toby's tail twitched slightly as he listened. Slowly, he stepped a little closer, his paws touching the edge of the blanket. The volunteers watched quietly from a distance, amazed at the progress. "He has never done that before," one whispered. Toby had always stayed in his corner, avoiding attention. But with Mia, he was learning to feel safe. She spent the morning reading stories to him. Her voice was soft and she laughed quietly when Toby sniffed the pages or tilted his head in curiosity. After a while, Mia brought out a small, squeaky toy. She placed it near Toby and smiled. At first, he just looked at it, unsure. Then slowly he nudged it with his nose. It made a small squeak and Toby jumped back slightly, startled. Mia laughed gently. "It's okay, Toby, it's just a toy. You can play if you want." Encouraged by her calm voice, Toby tapped the toy again, this time with more curiosity. He started to push it with his nose, moving it slightly across the blanket. For the first time, Toby seemed to enjoy a small game. Mia clapped softly and whispered, "Good job, Toby. You're amazing." Toby wagged his tail a little, a small but clear sign of happiness. Mia's eyes sparkled. She could see that Toby was beginning to open his heart. Just a little, and it filled her with hope. Throughout the morning, Mia continued to sit with Toby. She stroked his soft fur, gave him small treats, and talked to him about her day. She told him stories about school, about her friends, and about the dreams she had for the future. Toby listened quietly, sometimes lifting his head to look at her, his eyes soft and trusting. He even leaned against her gently, resting his small head on her lap for a few seconds. By the time Mia had to leave for home, Toby had taken several steps forward. He no longer hid in his corner. He had learned that someone cared for him, that someone was patient and kind. Mia hugged him gently and whispered, "Tomorrow I will come back and we will spend even more time together. I promise." Toby's eyes seemed to shine with a little spark of joy. That night, as Mia walked home, she could not stop thinking about Toby. She imagined him resting quietly, dreaming of a future filled with love and friendship. She knew that this was only the beginning. With patience and care, Toby would learn to trust her completely, and she would be there every step of the way, helping him feel safe and loved. For the first time, Toby had started to believe that life could be more than sadness. He had felt kindness, warmth, and attention from Mia, and it was a feeling he wanted more of. The bond between them was growing, slowly but surely, and it was a bond that would change both of their lives forever. The day finally arrived. Mia woke up extra early, her heart racing with excitement. Today she would bring Toby home. She packed a small bag with soft blankets, a few toys, and some treats that Toby liked. She felt a mixture of happiness and nervousness. This was a big step for both her and Toby. She wanted everything to be perfect. When Mia entered the shelter, Toby was waiting quietly in his corner. As soon as he saw her, he lifted his head, his soft brown eyes following her every move. Mia knelt down and smiled. "Good morning, Toby. Are you ready to go home today?" Toby tilted his head slightly and took a small step forward. It was not a big move, but to Mia, it meant everything. The volunteers helped Mia carefully place Toby in a small carrier for the ride home. Toby stayed calm, sniffing the air and looking around curiously. He had never been in a car before, and everything felt new and strange. Mia gently patted the carrier and whispered, "It's okay, Toby. We are going home." Toby wagged his tail a little, showing that he trusted her. The car ride was quiet. Toby watched the trees, houses, and passing cars from his small space. Mia spoke softly to him, telling him stories about their new home and all the fun things they would do together. She wanted Toby to feel safe and comfortable. After a short drive, they arrived at Mia's house. Toby peeked out from the carrier, his eyes wide with curiosity. Mia opened the door and let Toby step out. At first, he froze, unsure of this new place. The house smelled different, and everything looked bigger than the shelter. Mia knelt down and smiled. "It's okay, Toby. This is your home now. You can explore slowly." Toby sniffed the floor, then the furniture, and finally walked a few steps forward. Mia followed him closely, speaking gently and encouraging him. She showed Toby his bed in a quiet corner of the living room. It was soft and warm, just like she had promised. Toby sniffed it carefully and then curled up for a short rest. Mia smiled and whispered, "This is your safe space, Toby. You can rest here anytime you want." Toby's tail twitched slightly, and he closed his eyes, feeling a little more comfortable. After resting, Mia brought out a few toys. She placed a small squeaky ball on the floor and waited. Toby looked at it curiously, sniffed it, and then tapped it gently with his paw. The ball made a small squeak, and Toby jumped back, surprised. Mia laughed softly. "It's okay, Toby. You don't have to be scared. You can play when you're ready." Toby tapped the toy again, this time a little more confidently. Mia spent the entire morning with Toby, talking, petting him, and showing him around the house. She wanted him to feel safe and loved. Toby began to follow her from room to room, sniffing and exploring. He even ventured into the garden, where the grass was soft and green. Mia laughed softly as Toby ran a few steps, stopped, and looked back at her. It was the first time she saw him move with curiosity and excitement. By the afternoon, Toby was feeling more comfortable. He had eaten some food from his new bowl and had even taken a short nap on his soft bed. Mia watched him with a happy heart. She knew that he was starting to understand that he was safe and loved. For Toby, this was a completely new experience, and he was learning that life could be gentle and joyful. As the sun began to set, Toby curled up on his blanket, resting peacefully. Mia sat beside him and whispered, "I am so happy you are home, Toby. We will be happy together." Toby lifted his head slightly and gave a small, gentle wag of his tail. It was a small gesture, but to Mia, it meant that Toby had begun to trust her completely. That night, as Toby slept in his new home, Mia thought about how far he had come. From the quiet, sad dog in the shelter to this gentle, curious little dog exploring his new home, Toby had already started to change, and Mia knew that with love, patience, and care, Toby's happiness would continue to grow. The days passed quickly, and Toby was beginning to adjust to his new home. At first he was shy and quiet, exploring slowly and carefully. But as he spent more time with Mia, he began to change in ways that surprised everyone. His eyes, once sad and tired, now sparkled with curiosity. His tail, which had hardly moved in the shelter, started to wag when Mia entered the room. Mia noticed the first small change one morning. She had placed a soft blanket on the floor near the living room window, a sunny spot where Toby could rest. When she called him, Toby came over, sniffed the blanket, and lay down comfortably. Then he rolled onto his back and stretched his paws in the air, a sign that he felt safe and relaxed. Mia laughed softly and patted him gently. "Look at you, Toby, you are finally feeling at home." After that day, Toby grew more confident. He began exploring every corner of the house, sniffing new objects and checking out each room. He followed Mia wherever she went, sometimes brushing against her legs or nudging her hand for attention. Mia was delighted. She had never seen Toby move so freely and happily. She realized that he was slowly learning to trust her completely. One afternoon, Mia decided to take Toby to the garden. The grass was soft and green, and the sunlight warmed Toby's fur. At first, he walked carefully, sniffing the ground and looking around. Then he spotted a small butterfly fluttering near a flower. Toby froze, his ears perked up, and he watched it with fascination. Slowly, he crept closer, his tail wagging gently. The butterfly flew away, and Toby looked around, a small spark of excitement in his eyes. Mia laughed softly. "You are so curious, Toby. I am so happy you are discovering new things." Toby also began to enjoy playing with toys. Mia had brought a few soft balls and squeaky toys, and at first he had been cautious. But now, he would tap a ball with his paw, chase it a few steps, and even carry it gently in his mouth. Sometimes he would bring the toy to Mia, as if inviting her to play with him. Mia clapped softly and said, "Good job, Toby. You are having so much fun." Watching him play, she realized that Toby's joy was growing every day. Even his eating habits improved. At the shelter, Toby had been slow and hesitant, sometimes ignoring his food. But at home, he ate his meals eagerly, finishing every bite. Mia smiled as she watched him enjoy his food. "See, Toby? You are safe here and you can eat happily," she whispered. Toby wagged his tail in response as if he understood. Mia also noticed that Toby had started to make small sounds like soft whimpers and gentle barks. They were not loud or demanding. They were his way of expressing excitement or asking for attention. It was a new language between them, and Mia loved it. She would respond with kind words and gentle pets, and Toby would lean into her hands, clearly enjoying the interaction. By the end of the week, Toby had become a completely different dog. The shy, quiet dog from the shelter was now lively and curious. He followed Mia everywhere, played in the garden, and even showed interest in the neighborhood sounds outside. Mia's heart was full of happiness. She knew that her love and patience were helping Toby grow into the joyful dog he had always been meant to be. One evening, Mia sat on the couch with Toby curled up beside her. She gently stroked his fur and whispered, "I am so proud of you, Toby. You are amazing, and I am so happy you are in my life." Toby rested his head on her lap, his eyes soft and trusting. For the first time, he felt completely at home, and Mia knew that their bond had grown stronger than ever. From that day on, Toby's change was visible to everyone who visited. The once sad dog was now full of life, curiosity, and happiness. Mia had not only given him a home, but had helped him discover the joy of being loved. Toby's transformation was a reminder that kindness and patience could change even the quietest hearts, and Mia felt proud to be a part of his new happy life. One bright morning, Mia's neighbor, Mr. Harris, came to visit. He had a friendly dog named Max, a small golden retriever with a cheerful personality. Max loved meeting new dogs and playing in the garden. Mia thought it would be a good idea for Toby to meet Max. She wanted Toby to learn how to interact with other dogs and maybe make a friend. At first, Toby was nervous. He had never been around another dog in a playful way. When Max wagged his tail and came closer, Toby took a small step back. His ears twitched and he watched Max carefully. Mia knelt down and said softly, "It's okay, Toby, Max is friendly. You can take your time." Toby sniffed the grass and then slowly approached Max, his tail held low but wagging a little. Max barked softly, as if saying hello, and Toby responded with a tiny whimper. They sniffed each other cautiously, circling in the garden. Mia smiled. "Good job, Toby. You are being brave." Max gently nudged Toby with his nose, inviting him to play. Toby hesitated for a moment but then tapped Max with his paw. It was a small gesture, but it was the beginning of their friendship. The two dogs began to explore the garden together. Toby sniffed the flowers and watched the butterflies while Max ran ahead and then returned to check on Toby. Slowly, Toby started to move more confidently. He chased Max for a few steps, then ran back to Mia, his tail wagging. Mia clapped softly. "You are doing so well, Toby. Look at you playing." Toby barked softly, a new sound that showed his excitement. After a while, Max found a small ball and nudged it toward Toby. Toby stared at it for a moment, unsure, and then tapped it with his paw. The ball rolled a little and Toby jumped back, startled. Mia laughed gently. "It's okay, Toby, you can play. Max is your friend." Encouraged by Mia's words, Toby pushed the ball again and Max joined him. They started to chase the ball together, running in circles and enjoying the warm sunlight. Watching Toby play with Max, Mia felt a warm happiness in her heart. Toby had never been so lively or confident. His once shy eyes now sparkled and his tail wagged constantly. Mia knew that meeting Max had helped Toby realize that other dogs could be kind and fun. She gently patted Toby's head. "See, Toby? You can make friends too. Life can be fun." As the afternoon continued, Toby and Max grew closer. They shared toys, explored the garden together, and even rested side by side in the soft grass. Toby learned to trust Max, and Max respected Toby's gentle nature. Mia noticed that Toby was not only enjoying himself, but was also learning important lessons about friendship and trust. By the time Mr. Harris came to take Max home, Toby had changed completely. He ran to the gate, wagging his tail, and barked softly as Max left. Mia smiled and said, "You made a new friend, Toby. I am so proud of you." Toby looked up at her with soft eyes, and for the first time he seemed proud of himself too. That evening, Toby curled up on his blanket, tired but happy. He had played, explored, and discovered the joy of friendship. Mia sat beside him and whispered, "You are amazing, Toby. Today was a big step. You are growing braver and happier every day." Toby leaned into her hand, enjoying the warmth and love she gave him. From that day on, Toby began looking forward to meeting Max whenever he came to visit. Their friendship grew stronger, and Toby learned to enjoy the company of other dogs. He became more confident, playful, and full of life. Mia realized that love, patience, and a little encouragement could bring out the best in even the quietest hearts. Toby, the once sad dog in the shelter, was now a lively and joyful dog. His world had grown bigger, brighter, and full of friends. Mia felt proud and happy, knowing that Toby had finally discovered how wonderful life could be. After Toby had settled into his new home and made friends with Max, Mia felt a new idea forming in her mind. She wanted to share Toby's story with others. She knew that many people in the town didn't notice shy or sad animals in shelters. Toby's journey from a quiet, lonely dog to a happy, playful companion was special, and Mia thought it could inspire others to adopt animals who needed love. Mia asked her parents if she could take some photos of Toby playing, resting, and exploring the garden. Her parents agreed, smiling at her enthusiasm. Over the next few days, Mia carefully took pictures that showed Toby's gentle personality and his amazing change. She also wrote a small story about him, explaining how he had been sad at the shelter and how love, patience, and care had helped him grow happy and confident. Once Mia finished, she asked her parents to help her post the story online. She hoped that people would read it and understand that even shy or quiet animals could have wonderful personalities if given a chance. The post quickly caught the attention of many people in the town. They were touched by Toby's journey and wanted to learn more about him. Soon, some families visited the shelter, hoping to meet shy dogs and give them a chance at a new life. Volunteers noticed that people were more patient and understanding, taking time to interact with animals that had been overlooked. Toby had become more than just a happy dog in a home. He had become a symbol of hope for other animals waiting in shelters. Mia continued to share Toby's story in small ways. She talked about him at school, during community gatherings, and even in her neighborhood park. People were inspired by how a little patience and kindness could change the life of a dog who had once been so sad. Some children wrote letters to Mia, saying that they wanted to adopt animals who needed love just like Toby. At home, Toby continued to grow. He would run in the garden, play with Max, and explore new corners of the house. He had learned to trust not only Mia, but also other people and animals. His gentle nature and joyful attitude made everyone around him smile. Mia often watched him quietly and whispered, "You are amazing. Toby, you are helping others too." Toby would wag his tail in response, as if he understood her words. Mia also noticed that some of the children in town started volunteering at the shelter. They wanted to meet Toby and learn from Mia's experience. They carefully approached shy or quiet animals, showing patience and kindness. Slowly, the animals began to respond. Some wagged their tails, some sniffed gently, and some even played a little. Mia realized that Toby's story had started a chain reaction of love and care that reached far beyond their home. One afternoon, Mia and Toby visited the shelter together. Toby walked slowly through the rows of cages, his tail wagging gently. Volunteers smiled as they saw Toby, the once sad dog, now confident and happy. Some of the dogs that had been shy or quiet started approaching Toby, as if sensing his gentle and kind nature. Mia watched, amazed at how far Toby had come. That evening, Mia sat on the couch with Toby curled up beside her. She stroked his fur gently and whispered, "You have done something amazing, Toby. You are not only happy yourself, but you are teaching everyone around you about patience and love." Toby rested his head on her lap, soft and calm, feeling completely safe and loved. From that day on, Toby's story became known throughout the town. People spoke about him with warmth and admiration. His journey had shown that even the quietest, saddest animals could become joyful companions when given the right care. Mia felt proud, not only because Toby was happy, but because together they had inspired others to show kindness to animals in need. Toby had grown from a lonely dog in a shelter to a symbol of hope. He had taught everyone that love could change lives, and Mia knew that the bond they shared would continue to grow, bringing happiness to both of them and to everyone who heard their story. Years passed, and Toby had grown into a joyful, confident dog. He was no longer the quiet, sad little dog sitting in a corner at the shelter. His soft brown fur gleamed in the sunlight and his tail wagged constantly when Mia was near. Toby had become a true companion, full of energy, love, and curiosity. Mia and Toby shared every part of life together. In the mornings, they would take long walks through the neighborhood. Toby loved to sniff the flowers, chase butterflies, and greet neighbors with gentle wags of his tail. Mia laughed as Toby tried to play with every bird or squirrel he saw. Even Max came along for many walks, and the two dogs would run and play together, bringing happiness to everyone who saw them. At home, Toby had his favorite spots. He loved curling up on the soft blanket near the living room window where the sun shone warmly. He would watch the birds outside or follow the shadows as they moved across the floor. Sometimes he would nuzzle Mia gently, asking for pets or simply enjoying her company. Mia often whispered to him, "I am so happy we found each other. Toby, you make every day better." Toby would respond with a soft bark or a wag of his tail, showing his love in his own way. Toby's story had spread throughout the town, and people still remembered the shy, sad dog he had once been. Children who had been inspired by his journey would visit Mia to hear about him and learn how to care for animals in need. Toby loved the attention but always remained gentle. He was never too excited or too loud. He had learned the joy of kindness, friendship, and patience. Mia also taught Toby new things. They learned small tricks together, played games in the garden, and sometimes just sat quietly enjoying the peaceful moments. Toby was a patient student, always attentive to Mia's voice. He had a way of making even ordinary days feel special. Mia often thought about how far he had come, from the quiet, lonely dog at the shelter to the lively, happy companion he was now. Even on rainy days, Toby was cheerful. He would watch the raindrops slide down the windows or play with toys indoors. Mia would sit beside him, reading stories or sharing her day, and Toby would rest his head in her lap. These moments were filled with calm, comfort, and love. It was a life Toby had never imagined at the shelter, and he embraced it fully. Neighbors and friends continued to be amazed by Toby's transformation. They would often say, "Look at him now. He's so happy and full of life." Mia would smile proudly. She knew that Toby had taught everyone around him a valuable lesson, that every dog, no matter how quiet or shy, could find happiness with patience, love, and care. Toby's bond with Mia grew stronger with each passing year. They understood each other without many words. Toby would sense when Mia was happy or sad, comforting her with his gentle presence. Mia had become his family, his friend, and the person who had given him a life full of joy. And Toby had become Mia's loyal companion, a source of constant happiness and love. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, Toby curled up beside Mia. She stroked his fur gently and whispered, "We've come so far together, Toby. I am so grateful for you." Toby rested his head on her lap, closing his eyes, feeling completely safe and loved. In that quiet moment, both of them knew that they were exactly where they belonged. Toby's journey from the saddest dog in the shelter to a happy, loved companion left a lasting impact on everyone who knew his story. It was a story of hope, patience, and the power of love. Mia and Toby had found each other, and together, they created a life full of joy, friendship, and trust. And in that life, happiness lasted forever.